During the day, an astronomer discovered something enormous flying close to the moon. This mysterious discovery was caught on a powerful telescope camera, and it has left many unanswered questions in the minds of most people who have seen the video. So, what exactly is this thing, and why is it so close to our moon? Is there an extraterrestrial civilization watching us? In this video, we'll take a look at a massive object that was recorded flying across the moon's surface. Researchers have discovered something massive lurking beneath the moon's far side, a mysterious blob with the mass of a pile of metal, 5 times the size of Hawaii's Big Island. The structure is described in a recent paper published in Geophysical Research Letters. It is located at least 180 miles beneath the South Pole Aitken Basin, a massive crater punched into the lunar landform billions of years ago, when the moon's initially molten layer had cooled just enough for effects to leave a permanent mark. The anomalous blob was discovered by combining data from NASA's Gravity Recovery and Interior Laboratory, or GRAIL, mission with topography from the Lunar Reconnaissance Orbiter. This information assisted them in refining previous calculations for the thickness of the crater's crust and the density of the mantle. It revealed the unusual underground surplus of mass. As per the study co-author Peter James of Baylor University, the blob is likely related to the formation of the crater and may be the remnants of an ancient impactor's metal core. While the extra mass isn't immediately visible from the surface, it appears to be having an impact, dragging down the lunar landscape in a strange ovoid depression that sits more than half a mile lower than the neighboring crater floor, known as the Central Depression. That's a huge result, says NASA's Goddard Space Flight Center's lunar geologist Daniel Moriarty. It gives us a good idea of what's going on in the lunar interior. The South Pole Aitken crater has previously piqued the interest of scientists due to its surface composition and size. It's the largest preserved crater in the solar system that we know of, James says. The discovery of the strange mass only adds to the mystery, especially since the crater and the nearby lunar South Pole are potential targets for a number of future moon missions. Scientists are already eager to investigate the mass. Such an effort could aid in unraveling the history of the massive impact that formed the crater, as well as filling in key details in our understanding of how our lunar companion and other celestial bodies grow over time. It's very exciting as an impact modeler, says Brandon Johnson, a planetary scientist at Brown University who was not associated with the latest study. I'm excited to possibly get started on this. Ebb and Flow, the GRAIL mission's twin spacecraft, launched in 2011 and orbited the moon for nearly a year, precisely charting variations in the lunar gravitational field. The GRAIL team used this data to create the highest resolution gravity map of our lunar companion to date. What is the moon made of? And how did it come into being? Discover the moon's violent origins, how its phases shaped the first calendars, and how humans first explored Earth's only natural satellite half a century ago. The data provide a hazy picture of what's going on both above and below ground. The greater the mass, such as higher topography or denser rocks, the greater the gravity. These maps show a clear distinction between most of the moon's large craters and the South Pole Aitken Basin. Other large craters have mascons, which stand for mass concentrations. Mascons, discovered by scientists at NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory in 1968, appear as bullseyes on gravity maps, with a central circle of strong gravity surrounded by a ring of weak gravity, and then another ring of stronger gravity. The effect is caused by the way the low-density crust and high-density mantle adjust after an impact. However, there is no such pattern in the South Pole Aitken Basin. To figure out what was going on beneath the surface, the scientists turned to calculations, developing a model that more accurately reflected the natural system by making new assumptions about the forces at work. The findings revealed a large zone of dense material within the moon's upper mantle. The team proposes 2 explanations for the subsurface mass. For starters, it could be remnants of dense oxides formed during the final stages of cooling when the moon was covered in ancient magma oceans. However, the researchers lack a mechanism to precisely explain the formation of such a layer under the basin. Why, of all places, would it be there? James inquires. According to the team, the mass could have been caused by an ancient impactor. The space rock that formed the moon's giant basin was likely big enough to have isolated into different layers when it first formed. so it had a dense metallic core and rocky outer layers like many of today's planets. The energy of the impact engraved a deep bowl-shaped crater on the Moon on the fateful day of its collision, with the impactor's metallic core smashed up inside. The original hole, however, did not last, and the divot on the Moon was partially filled with molten rock. The melty traces of the ancient impactor's core lingered within it. That's what I'd wager, James says. Johnson agrees that a core relic is a likely explanation. I was thinking about all the diverse ways we can follow up and try to better understand what is causing this mass oddity that they discovered the entire time I was reading the study. In addition to discovering the mysterious blob, the new study retraced the inner rim of the basin, revealing that scientists had previously underestimated the crater's size, a potentially significant discovery as NASA and others prepare to send missions to the basin and the nearby lunar South Pole. The most recent researchers to map these boundaries used data from the Clementine mission, which had a gap near the basin's southern end. The most recent study, on the other hand, used more complete data from LRO and Grail, revealing that the crater is roughly 40 miles larger than previously thought. Overall, the work adds to the already heightened interest in the South Pole Aitken Basin. It's just so mysterious, says Sarah Masrowi of the Center for Planetary Science and Exploration at Western University, who was not involved in the research. Scientists hope that by better understanding this structure, they will be able to better understand the formation of bodies throughout our celestial family. Every planet in our solar system was formed by small things colliding and eventually forming larger things, Moriarty explains. The constant churn of plate tectonics on Earth has been steadily erasing the planet's ancient surface and record of early impacts. However, the Moon, which still has a billion-year-old surface, serves as an incredible record of what happened when our solar system was a baby, including the tragic events that formed one of the largest known impact basins in our cosmic neighborhood. We don't know enough about the exact process that formed it, Moriarty says of the South Pole Aitken Basin. This is a massive area of current research. According to media reports, the Chinese Yutu-2 rover spotted a strange cube-shaped object on the far side of the Moon, as in almost 80 meters away from the rover in Von Kerman crater last year. According to reports, the object has been dubbed a mystery house, and the rover will attempt to get closer and investigate it over the next 2 to 3 lunar days. According to a Yutu-2 diary published by Our Space, the object was spotted on the horizon to the north in November during the mission's 36th lunar day. It is a channel of communication affiliated with the China National Space Administration. Such stories pique the interest of space enthusiasts, as well as conspiracy theorists who come up with unproven theories about the presence of aliens and UFOs. These photos have gone viral on social media. However, it is believed that the object spotted by Yutu-2 is not an obelisk or aliens, but rather boulders formed by landing impacts. However, the images are worth a look because it's difficult to tell anything from them. For the uninitiated, Yutu-2 made the first ever soft landing on the Moon's far side in January 2019. Yutu-2 was launched in December 2018 and entered lunar orbit the same month. On January 3, 2019, it made the first soft landing on the Moon's far side. Yutu-2, the first lunar rover on the far side, is now operational. The rover and Chang'e 4 lander are now on their 37th lunar day, and Yutu-2 may be approaching a total drive distance of 900 meters. And with that being said, it's time to end our video. Subscribe to the channel for more amazing videos like this. We'll see you with another interesting video.